Now, in holding the deck, you bring your hand into this position, lay your deck like this. This way you protect the front of the deck and you come off right off of the thumb and the finger, like this. Then you put the one under when you get it that way. Is that all?
That's fine.
We always use a new deck in this manner. You always spread the deck this way, and you can count to see if there's a card missing or if there is a double card. Sometimes there will be two cards dropped instead of one off of the line. Always remember that when you're shuffling the cards, that you lay your hands down gently, raise the corners up, and they fall right into place. Just lay your hands right over the cards, let them fall in this way, follow right under that way, and this way, by picking them up in this manner, if somebody has a mistake or claims that they had a certain bet, you can always take your cards and lay them out exactly the same way that you picked them up. That way you can show the customer or the player that his cards are exactly here.
Okay.
Always remember that when you're cutting the checks, you cut with both hands this way, and you deal right off of the top, right over the finger, and right in under the thumb. In this manner, they fall right into place. Therefore, you have no problems with them. Hard the deck very lightly and lift up the corner, turn it in just a little bit, and it will fall right into place. You riffle the decks once in a while that way to get the sequence out of order. This way, you can always remember that when you're cutting the checks, you cut with both hands. Another thing to remember when you're cutting the checks, that you lift the check up, not drag it across. So when you drag it across, you always leave it one short. Remember about the checks is that you lift the check up as you cut it. You don't drag it off, because when you drag the check off, you normally take one off with it, and it makes it very sloppy. Remember, when you cut the checks, you cut with both hands. And another thing to remember is when you're cutting the checks, you lift the checks up. You don't drop them. If you slide across, you always leave one check, take one away. Always remember to lift your checks up. Give them a couple of riffles this way before you cut them. This way. Is that all?
Okay, that's
Nice and even. Now we'll go to the deck. Always remember that when you're cutting checks, you cut with both hands. Another thing that is important to remember is that when you cut the checks, you lift them up before you move your hand. If you drag your hand across the check, you always drag one off, and it's very uneven and is not proper. So remember that you lift the checks up before you move your hand. Therefore, you get a nice even stack of checks. Now we'll go to the decks. Normally on a deck, you get a brand new deck, you spread it out and count the cards. You can always tell if there's one missing or if there are two of one kind. When you shuffle the cards, always lay your hands over very gently and lift the corners and let them fall right into place. You bring them up the same way. They fall right into place, just like that. This way, you always have control over your cards. Then when you get ready to deal, you put the cards in your same thing.
next couple of shots.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
Always remember that when you're cutting the checks, you cut with both hands. And another important thing to remember about cutting checks is that you lift the checks up before you move your hand. That way you get a nice even cut of checks. If you drag your finger across, you always drag one check off, and that way it isn't right. Now in going to the cards, when you get a new deck, you always spread them out so that you can see whether there are any cards missing. Cover the card so that nobody else can see it, and you raise it up and look at it that manner. Then you go to hitting these hands if they want to hit. When you turn your whole card over, you do it always to the right. And when you hit your hand, you always hit to the right. This way, if any of the bosses or if somebody is watching, they can glance at just a minute and see that you're hitting the cards properly. And when you go broke, and when you turn these cards over, always turn them over this way and spread them out so that you get an accurate count on what is there. The same way with these cards here. Then as you pick them up, you put them...
This is so that I don't forget what I said. Okay.
Your head's in the picture.
Maybe you don't want me. Bertha, first of all, tell me what job you had before at the Desert Inn. What was that all about?
Before the Desert Inn?
No, when you were working at the Desert Inn, before you became a dealer.
Cashier checker.
Can you describe what that job was?
Well, I sit on the bars and I check the drinks going out, take in the money, give change, ring checks.
Did you work in the kitchen as well?
I worked in the kitchen and the bars.
Just we're going to go over the kitchen a little later. You describe for me what you did, what the kitchen is like, and what you did there before you became a dealer. See, I haven't seen that, so you tell me what I'm going to see over there.
Well, you won't see it because I work the showroom at night. And the food, the trays going out into the showroom, I checked them, counted them down, checked them off checks. Then I worked on the bar, checked the drinks that were going out into the showroom, counted those, ring them.
Now, how much did you make for that job? How much were you making?
$26.40 a day.
That certainly is kind of tough, isn't it, in terms of keeping yourself going? How was it?
Well, yeah, sure it is.
What about, how did you get the opportunity to become a dealer? Can you tell us that?
Well, they sent out sheets, whoever wanted to upgrade themselves. And they had different items on the sheet, and I chose dealing.
Through it and what it was like. Your shift, first of all, you deal blackjack where?
At the Sands Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I worked from 1 in the afternoon till 9 at night.
And how much do you make there?
Well, they start you out when you leave school at $16, and then every 3 months you go up.
What are you making now?
18.
18. What about the life compared to what you used to do before? I mean, black.
No, I haven't run into that yet. No, I'm very fortunate. I haven't ran into it yet.
Okay. Cut. Bertha, first of all, tell me what did you do as a food checker? Do you still know people in the kitchen here?
Yeah, sure.
What do they think about your job now, the friends, the people you know here?
Well, I don't know yet. I haven't been back. I've been planning on coming back visiting, but I haven't yet.
What did you think at the time? Why did you take this step?
Well, there was a little more money in it, and a little more excitement, I think.
Now, can you give us a difference in the money? What you were making as a food checker, and then what you hope to make ultimately as a dealer?
Well, I was making $26.40 as a food checker, and I hope to get up in the $30 bracket as a dealer soon.
What about the black thing? Is there resentment among your friends that it's taken so long? Going back over that, Bertha, what were you making as a food checker?
$26.40 a day.
Now, what about ultimately as a dealer? What do you look for?
Well, the $30 a day, 25 or whatever the dealers make, full-fledged dealers.
Was there any resentment among blacks that it's taken so long for you to break in to Vegas and to be dealers?
Not that I know of.
What do you think of the program in general?
I think it's great. I think it's a fine thing. Everyone should take advantage of it they can.
Now, is business so good that you think a lot of people are going to be placed?
Well, this time of year, business is never real good. But summer months, yes.
What does it mean? You were talking earlier about the money and as well. What does it mean in terms of doing a different thing? You know, once you're a food checker, now you're a dealer. Can you tell me about that? How does it make you feel differently?
Well, I don't know. I just enjoy the job. In fact, I enjoy both jobs. I like both of them. But this one is something I like. I like playing cards, and I like being out with people in public, you know, and I just like it.
Can you remember a time when there weren't any black dealers at all?
Oh, yes, sure.
How long ago was that?
Well, think.
Is that a heavy burden?
No, not really.
Why isn't it? If you're first in something, isn't it? You know, I didn't even ask your last name, Bertha. How?
Young, same as my age.
Bertha Young.
Right.
And you're married and have 2 children.
Mm-hmm. 2 children, 4 grandchildren.
How much? Let's talk about how much it is possible for a dealer on the strip to make a week.
Well, I don't know. I haven't been in it that long. And then, like I say, this is the slowest part of the year. It's just no business.
Is it possible? I understand. You know, you could make what, 200 a week.
Oh gosh, I don't know. I hope so, but I don't know.
Do you know do you know what dealers normally make?
No, I don't. I have no idea.
All right, I think that's fine.
It was 8 weeks, and I enjoyed every minute of it. Every minute. We had a good instructor, and he was business, you know, no foolishness, and I enjoyed it. In the beginning, it was a little rough. Just a little, you know, in the beginning, but as you go on, it gets easier. Well, I checked food going out into the showrooms, checked drinks going out, ring checks. Oh, when I left, I was making $26.40 per day. But you learn to live on what you make. I don't know about the men, but as far as the women, I believe that I'm the first black one on the strip. Everybody's so nice about it. Everybody treats me so, I don't know, they baby me. I'm the only woman at the Sands and a black woman, and I love it. You know, and I just have a ball. Break 17. I got you.
C'est un père. Allez, laisse-le-y, un père.
Well, it's more exciting. It's a lot more exciting. You're meeting different people from everywhere, you know, all walks of life. And like I said, I enjoy meeting people.
Hey, what are you doing here, slumming? Probably.
Mr. J. Higgins, please.
I lost it. Say, where do I stop?
Well, I'd go the other way.
Hello to everybody there, Bertha.
I'll go back here and eat. Talk to me.
Yeah, well, what's going on?
Look at that. Talk to me.
Oh, come on, Joe. I'm gonna tell you.
I don't know what you're doing. I wish they would tell me. Yeah, at one time.
So you've been busy, yeah. It's fine. I heard you say about romance anyway. Nice. Peaceful. So you don't know big money when you feel. The alcohol $20. So come on over here and talk to me. Yeah, come on. Come on, I don't know. I can do it, you can do it, right? I work nights, yeah. That's the first day she can go ahead. Sure, you're going on. You gotta be kidding. So now you're scared. I don't know where to go from here. Want to hit? I have no idea. How many? 19. I want to win this one. Okay. I hope it isn't on camera. Well, money. They're getting broke off the credit.
This new training program doesn't mean that every porter and maid in the Howard Hughes Hotel is going to work in the gambling casino. But it does mean that a few blacks now have a better chance to get a better job. Dick Shoemaker, ABC News, Las Vegas, Nevada.